participates before, so we'll see if he is game here to defeat Mr. Lanci. Lanci is their 4th seed, so he'll likely choose to be on the play, which could be a big thing in this matchup. Those Mutilates coming ahead of schedule, Desecration Demon getting on board before anything can happen. So we are underway here in the quarterfinals, and do keep in mind that after this game is over, we'll ask a trivia question for you guys so we can give away those 3 months of premium at the conclusion of our quarterfinals, as Mr. Diliberto has started off with the Doomed Traveler.
And it appears that Diliberto is one of those poor, unfortunate souls who puts his lands in front of his creatures.
You're not a fan, huh?
Not a fan,
yeah,
but
actually, I'm not either.
Here we have, looks like Doomed Traveler is going to come over for 1. Chris Lanci just has 2 Overgrown Tombs in play. Looks like Mario does have access to Black Mana. We're going to see an Isolate Chapel, and here's the High Priest.
You did mention it. There is a Skursag High Priest. They're from Diliberto, so we'll see if Lanci does have an answer. Again, you mentioned the answers. He's got 2 Putrefies. He has 1 Ultimate Price, 2 Abrupt Decay, so we're looking at 5 ways to be able to kill that. Can he get it off the board? Because it is very, very dangerous.
And he does have 3 Swamps, so there's the Ultimate Price. So he managed to draw the 1 of.
Yep. You got to get that thing out. I don't want to say he's on a 5-outer, but if, Diliberto does have a follow-up in Cartel Aristocrat, we're seeing a 5/5 demon ahead of schedule, which is a big deal. So High Priest taken care of for now.
And looks like Diliberto still has some gas left. He has overalls. Looks like he also has Lingering Souls too. So Doomed Traveler's going to come over. Now the question is, does he want to follow up with Lingering Souls here? I think so. I think it's probably a better play than Varal's right here. And yep, there it is. The Lingering Souls comes down to get 2 more Spirit tokens for Mario. And Mario now has some pretty good pressure here. Chris's deck doesn't have that many ways to deal with flyers. He does have 3 copies of
Mutilate.
Mm-hmm. He also has Desecration Demon, which can block, and he has some Vampire Nighthawks. Vampire Nighthawk's probably a card that he really wants to see right here.
Alright, so Lance is going to untap. He's going to draw his card. Diliberto building a board presence slowly but surely here, but Lanci's deck is very, very powerful. You're going to see a Lifebane zombie here.
So this is one of those instances where maybe Varal should have come down to give yourself a little protection from Lifebane zombie, because now Lifebane zombie is going to strip the Varals out of Mario's hand, and Mario still has a follow-up. He can flashback Lingering Souls and then cast that Blood Artist in his hand, but again, losing the Varals to a Lifebane zombie when he could have actually cast it is pretty unfortunate.
And the tough part too is that if Diliberto, if his turn is Blood Artist and Flashback Lingering Souls, he's kind of all in at that point. Does draw a Temple Garden, so yeah, that's just about all that he does have left. One of the things about Chunk Aristocrats, much like most of the Aristocrats decks, is that it does have a problem with Mana Flood. As you see, Diliberto is going to come in here for 3. No block on the Doomed Traveler.
Interesting though. Why would you not play the Blood Artist first though? Because on the off chance that Chris does block, you want to be able to drain him with it. So, because it's pretty clear that Mario is probably going to make this line no matter what. So, Chris has perfect information. Maybe if you're giving him an opportunity to trade now without getting drained, maybe I might do it. But again, probably not going to happen because there's really no good creature that Mario can block the Lifebane zombie with now that Varals has been taken care of.
The no block there of the Lifebane zombie, pretty telling as well. I think if he had Mutilate in his hand, I think he would block immediately.
Yeah,
so that he could just sweep everything up and not leave him behind with a 1/1 Spirit token. But this feels like to me that Lanci does not have a Mutilate in his hand, at least at that point. May have drawn one for the turn.
Well, frankly, at this point, given Mario's hand, a Vampire Nighthawk is probably just as bad as a Mutilate.
That's true.
So there's a lot of cards. Even Desecration Demon is pretty good here because Mario obviously has enough tokens to start tapping it, but when you have to tap it to be on the aggressor, when you're the aggressor, it's not really a great place to be.
So he does have a Mutilate. Wowee. So Mutilate is going to come in here now. We're going to get a bunch of Blood Artist triggers. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to count them up.
8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 triggers. So he's got 1, 2. He's got 4 Spirit
including
tokens.
Including the Lifebane zombie, though, right?
Yeah, I'm counting.
Oh,
that,
okay.
Yeah. It's 4 Spirit tokens, Lifebane zombie, Doomed Traveler, and Blood Artist itself. So 7 triggers. And the Spirit token will be left over. So
yeah. So it looks like maybe he drew it, but I agree with you. Why wouldn't you snap block if you have the Mutilate in your hand, unless he's afraid that he would have telegraphed that he has it.
Yeah.
And Mario would have played differently. So
Cartel Aristocrat the draw for Diliberto. He attacks for 1, plays a 2/2, and is going to pass the turn back. We'll see if Lanci has a Thragtusk or anything good to follow this up with. He's been doing pretty well right now. Yes, he's sitting at 7, but the board is pretty much clear. As here is, looks like he's going to play that Overgrown Tomb tapped. Doesn't look to be quite sure of himself though.
That drain for 7 was huge. It just shows you how swingy Even though they're just small, tiny creatures, suddenly it adds up once you start, factoring in Blood Artist.
This looks like it may be a Desecration Demon. It's going to be
Another
a mutilate to clear
mutilate.
up. Okay.
Wow.
So that's a huge one too.
Great draw there from Chris.
If you're Diliberto, you're looking for Lingering Souls off the top. See what he finds.
Doom Traveler. So
it's a start.
It's a start, yeah. Unfortunately, there's just so many cards that Chris can have now to deal with that. Chris, same thing. Chris might be running out of gas too. I mean, obviously there's a lot of cards that can swing it hugely in his favor. There's Liliana. There's not necessarily a great card for him, but
oddly enough, not the best card I've ever seen in this situation. Sacrificing, not really that great. I don't think that Lanci minds that. And if we're going to go discarding, I think he's pretty happy with that too. So Diliberto's going to discard his land, as is Lanci. We know that Lanci just has one card left. Going to tap 2 mana. Here is a Sign in Blood, so he's going to go down to 5. A little surprised he didn't start his turn off by signing in Blooding.
Yeah, you'd think you'd want to sign in Blood first to get more information. Maybe you want to play a Desecration Demon, perhaps. Because obviously Liliana's not that amazing in this matchup.
So Lanci goes from 7 to 5 for the Sign in Blood, and then down to 4 from the Doom Traveler. It looks like players are going to make sure they do have their life totals correct. And there's a Blood Artist off the top.
That's a pretty good draw there. A Lingering Souls off the top, and suddenly, or maybe even a Cartel Aristocrat, or Rolls.
Now, Thraxus can undo quite a bit of this, of course, and how good is this Liliana going to be moving forward? Doesn't look to be great right now. I think the thing for Lanci, of course, is he knows he needs to get that Blood Artist off the board just as soon as he possibly can. If you're Diliberto, you're not thrilled with the situation you're in playing off the top of your deck because your deck doesn't have a lot of great top decks.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't even tick it down because then you're going to be taking one off the Blood Artist. He's going to sack the Doom Traveler, drop you to 3, and now he's going to have a flyer.
So Lanci just activates Liliana and passes the turn back. In for 1 comes Diliberto. Lanci down to 3. Let's see what he drew. Is it a spell? It's not.
Forced to pass the turn back. Or Reserve Charm would be a great draw there.
It would be an insane draw if that's what he found.
Looks like Lanci has a couple of lands in his hand. Not sure what else is there.
Diliberto has 1 in his hand. Looks like he's ready to discard right away.
Doesn't he? A little too quick on the draw there, but discards.
Sun Petal Grove. Lanci discards a Golgari Guildgate, so he's found nothing. There's a Woodland Cemetery and just passing the turn back. Diliberto in with the Doom Traveler again. Lanci going to go down to 2.
Lanci really needs
Lingering Souls off the top. I think we're going to see this flashback as well. So now 4 spirits are going to come into play, and because that Blood Artist there, I don't know if there's anything Lanci can do about this.
If he draws a Thragtusk, he'll go up to 7, but then he can just attack with everything.
Kind of in the same situation.
He'll take 4 in the air plus 1 drain, so he'll drop break back down to 2, and Blood Artist is still in play.
See, Lanci with a deep sigh there does not look thrilled about how this game has gone. Once he got the board to parity and had a Sign in Blood afterward, he has not found anything of use. He's going to ultimate. He actually looks like he's just going to concede the game. So Mario Diliberto does win game number 1 over Chris Lanci in a game I wasn't quite sure he'd be able to pull out after that double mutilate, but the top of his deck was pretty friendly.
It was pretty friendly, and that 7-point drain was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, suddenly that 7-point drain means that even the little rinky-dink creatures that he's drawing can still put a little clock on, and he got a little fortunate because Chris kind of bricked on any kind of blocker. It's like a Nighthawk there is insane. Thragtusk there is insane. But he got a little fortunate, and Chris wasn't able to muster up any kind of defense. So Mario wins first game on the draw with Junk Aristocrats.
Yeah, pretty big win there for Diliberto. We're going to bring it back in the booth here for you guys because it is trivia time. Very quickly, if you guys never played, explain the rules really quick. I'll ask you the first question as well. I'll let you do the first one tomorrow.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, see, I'm fair. So, pretty simple. I'm going to ask you a question. Make sure you do have your Twitter open. And when you have the answer to the question, hashtag your answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium. We will announce the winner at the conclusion of the quarterfinals. Again, simple question for you guys. Hashtag on Twitter with the answer of hashtag SCG Premium. We will select one winner from the group of people who do get it correct. So it is about accuracy, not speed, and we will announce the winner at the conclusion of our quarterfinals. And that question is, within Chris Lanci's deck, he is playing 1 Planeswalker. I lied. He's got 2 Planeswalkers. One of them is a singleton. Better question. One of them is a singleton. If you're able to name that singleton Planeswalker of the 2 that he's playing, Hashtag your answer with hashtag SCG Premium. Again, we will select one winner from the people who do get it correct. Planeswalker, that does see a little bit of play, but not a ton.
A little bit. We saw a little play in the sideboard of another deck.
Yes.
So
yeah. So it sees a little bit of play. It might see some more after rotation. Hint, hint. That's the only hint you're going to get. So, hashtag your answer, hashtag SCG Premium, and again, we will select one winner at the conclusion of the quarterfinals. So, we're going to move on to the sideboards here between Diliberto and Lanci. Lanci going to be on the play. You've got his deck list in front of you. What can he do?
Well, I'll tell you what cards I don't like. He's got 4 Lifebane Zombie. I do not like that card in this matchup. Obviously, he was able to take overalls, but in general, I just don't think it does that much, and I think the potential for you to whiff is just too high.
Sure.
Because, you know, Mario's deck is just so cheap that the odds of you being able to hit a green card like Voice of Resurgence or, you know, even a Cartel Aristocrat are probably pretty slim. So I don't really like Lifebane Zombie. It's not something you want to top deck late in the game. I don't like Liliana the Veil either. It's just there's too many good cards for Mario to sack. So I think I would probably board out those 7 cards. As far as what I would bring in, he's got 1 copy of Gaze of Granite. I think that's fine in this matchup. He's got 2 more Vampire Nighthawks that he can bring in. I think that card's great. He's got a Golgari Charm and a Curse of Death's Hold. Again, those are pretty good cards at dealing with tokens. He's got a Primeval Bounty, which not that great in this matchup, but it can help you sort of regain the life, and if you kind of get flooded out, it's not that bad. But Pide Needle is probably a card that I wouldn't mind bringing in because it's another way to deal with Skur's High Priest. And it also deals with Planeswalkers, which sometimes you might have difficulty attacking. So I kind of like the Pide Needles. I like the Gaze of Granite. So those 3 cards, along with 2 Vampire Nighthawks, a Golgari Charm, and a Curse of Deathhold. I think I would bring in those 7 cards.
And take a look over here at Diliberto's list. Again, he did win game 1, a very close one, and being on the draw pretty big. In case we do go to the 3rd game, he'll be on the play for game 3, but we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. He's got additional Blood Artists in the sideboard, Deathrite Shaman, Lifebane Zombie, 2 Sin Collector, 1 War Priest of Thune, 3 Abrupt Decay, 2 Ray of Revelation, a Liliana the Veil, 2 Appetite for Brains, and a Duress. Obviously, I love Blood Artist based off of what it just did in the previous game, so I think he's going to want an additional one of those. Deathrite Shaman I don't really care for. Lifebane Zombie, not really a big fan of that either. I think he's the ones that he has in his main deck, I think he should sideboard out. 2 Sin Collectors, I think I like that a lot here, being able to snipe and mutilate some of those spot removal spells. It being a 2/1, it can attack decently enough, but I think the fact that you get to get the information from Sin Collector is the most important part. Abrupt Decay, kind of meh. Ray of Revelation, kind of meh, unless you, unless, you know, there's a Curse of Death's Hold hanging out, so maybe you do have to board it in. Maybe you'd rather just have the War Priest of Thune instead. Then you've got Liliana the Veil, 2 Appetite for Brains, and a Duress. Again, discarding this matchup is okay, but I don't love it because it's not something that I want to draw at the top of my deck later in the game, so I'm not sure that I would want those in my deck. But, you know, I think the Sin Collectors, because there's a body attached, that card's going to be pretty good. I think War Priest is a nice hedge against Curse of Death's Hold. And Blood Arts, because Blood Arts was just fantastic earlier.
Yeah, I never really understand the 2 Appetite for Brains. Everyone's running like 2 Ofs or 2 Duress or something. It's like, that card in the Haymaker matchups, it's not very good.
Yeah.
And if you're bringing it against control decks, I mean, a lot of times you want to cast it early before they actually can cast a Restoration Angel. So only having 2 copies, it's not really a card you want to top deck late in the game. So I don't understand some of the numbers there. So I agree with you. Appetite for Brains doesn't really... I don't think it's great, but I think he probably just has to bring it in just because it's a way to potentially stop Thragtusk. It's a way to potentially stop Mutilate. So even though I don't think it's amazing in this matchup, I think it's another way to stop Curse of Death's Hold. Yeah. So I think that probably is going to come in. I'm with you, though. I don't know about Ray of Revelation. I do like War Priest, though, because at least it's a beater.
Yeah.
So I like War Priest. I also like the Sin Collector, like you mentioned. And maybe Doom Traveler, too. I actually think that... not Doom Traveler, rather, but a Deathrite Shaman, yeah.
I mean, the thing about Appetite for Brains, which is basically what you mentioned, is that the window for where it's good is so small. Window of opportunity, like if you draw it in the late game, it's obviously terrible. You know, there are situations where you draw it in the early game where it can kind of mess up your curve a little bit when you cast it, and it does have the ability to miss as well. Or, you know, you just see a hand where they have multiple Mutilates or something, and it's like, oh, this didn't really do very much. That's really frustrating. You know, that's part of the reason I just don't really like that card. It's just the window of opportunity on that card is pretty small, as we do see some updated results here for you guys for the match between Adam Van Fleet and Kevin Jones. Adam Van Fleet is up a game with red-green over blue-white. We move to the Andrew Jessup versus Rawiz Well, Abdul Rahman got it correct, and you're probably pretty happy because Naya up a game.
What?
Mental fist pump over here, and then we see between Zachary Schultz and Luis Alfonso, they're moving to a game 3, so that black-white versus aristocrat matchup is going very quickly.
And, both players shuffling up here, and it looks like, yeah, I think this matchup, it's not as grindy. The only other question is maybe does he want underworld connections, because this matchup is a little bit grindy perhaps, but I just don't think Chris wants to do that considering how aggressive Mario's deck can be at times. So
yeah, I think that's tough.
Both players ready to look at their 7. It looks like Chris is going to keep his opening 7, and Mario is going to, I'm going to say he's going to keep. It looks like a man who's happy with this opening 7.
I can't wait for you to be wrong.
And no, both players are going to keep.
Yep, well done. Well done. Swamp for
Turn one,
Lanci to
swamp.
start. Diliberto's going to draw Woodland Cemetery, see if he does have some white mana. Anything. Uh-oh, looks like he might be on a Buddy Land draw. Not good.
Yeah, so this is one of the more awkward draws you can get.
Yeah.
Everything just comes into play tapped. Thankfully, though, Mario's deck is pretty low on the curve, so by turn 3, he'll probably be okay, so not really that bad.
Lanci's going to play a Swamp here, see if he has a Sign in Blood. Looks like he does. So 18, but 2 cards.
So his hand goes back up to 7. Mario looks like he has a Doom Traveler that he can drop on this turn, too. I haven't seen a Voice of Resurgence yet. Oh, there's that Cartel Aristocrat.
And he does have 4 voices in his deck. Plays a Doom Traveler, plays a Woodland Cemetery. He's going to pass the turn back, so he's on that Buddy Land draw, which is a very slow one.
Looks like he does have an Appetite of Brains too, so we were talking about that earlier, how there's a small window for it. Well, it's perfect time for him to draw it because he's actually going to be able to cast it on turn 3 and make sure that there's not a Desecration Demon or something else potentially devastating that can come down next turn.
So Lanci just going to play Woodland Cemetery, pass the turn back. Diliberto going to start by attacking with a Doom Traveler. Going to put Lanci down to 17. Liliana the Veil looks to be the draw there for Diliberto, but again, because of these Buddy's lands, going to be a turn slow on that one as well.
Yeah, it looks like because of the Buddy lands, he can't cast Cartel Aristocrat and Appetite for Brains, but because he has a Liliana in his hand, I kind of like casting an Appetite and trying to clear the way first. Because like if a Desecration Demon comes down here,
Nightmare.
It's
you have ways. Nightmare because he has Liliana.
You have Liliana, but I think you still kind of want to make sure you can take a Thragtusk.
Sure.
And you can't cast Liliana and take a Thragtusk next turn because you have another Buddy landing. You only have access to 3 mana unless you top deck a land. So.
There's the Deso Demon. If you're Diliberto, you're hoping to draw an untapped black source, so you can play Appetite plus Liliana. Let's see what he draws. You see Desecration Demon, the triggers with this card, kind of a crazy little card. And Diliberto says, I'm not going to sacrifice to it, so we're fine. Draw a card. It's a Varolz.
So yeah, he has an option here. He can play Liliana and just down take it, but he won't be able to cast Appetite for Brains this turn. So again, the window to actually cast Appetite is getting smaller and smaller. Curse of Death Soul now can possibly come down.
Boy, that would be a disaster, too, because that card's very hard for Junk Aristocrats to beat. Liliana just come in, takes care of the demon. Diliberto going to play another Buddy Land in Woodland Cemetery and pass the turn back, and now it's time to hold your breath a little bit, I think.
Is Thragtusk going to hit? Is Curse of Death Soul going to hit? There's a lot of annoying 5-drops that can come down right here.
He's tapping 5 mana really fast, and there is the curse.
And there you go. It's so unfortunate because he led with Cartel Aristocrat instead of Appetite for Brains. He wasn't able to stop one of those devastating 5-drops from hitting play. And again, how important is that Aristocrat to get into play? It's just not that important just yet.
Yeah.
You know, I really, especially because he had the Liliana, I felt it was more important for him to sort of just set up the next few turns. You're not going to try to beat him down right away. You have a Doom Traveler and a Cartel Aristocrat. That's not the most aggressive creature base right there.
So now Godless Shrine's going to get discarded from Diliberto. You see Lanci's going to discard an ultimate price. Can't take care of the Cartel Aristocrat. You see Diliberto looking at a Duress and an Appetite for Brain. So he's got a lot of removal, or a lot of discard, excuse me. Hands face up. Mutilate among those cards. Sign in Blood, Abrupt Decay, Abrupt Decay. So all spells. Mutilate's going to go bye-bye.
So pretty good hand. He's able to deal with the Liliana with one of the Abrupt Decays. He can also deal with the Cartel Aristocrat potentially with the other Abrupt Decay, and he has Sign and Blood actually to refill his hand a little bit.
I think you got to fire off that duress and take care of that Sign and Blood. Make him play off the top. I think, if I'm Diliberto in this situation, I fire off a duress, take the Sign and Blood, play the other Cartel Aristocrat, and pass the turn back. Yes, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Make him just peel to beat me. He's going to attack for 1 here.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you want to let him draw 2 cards here.
So there's the duress. And, one of those Abrupt Decay is already taxed. It has to take care of the... and it's going to take Sign Blade. It's got to take care of the Liliana.
Yeah.
So the first one's taken care of. The second one's going to take care of one of those Cartel Aristocrats, and then Varel's can actually start to work a little bit because it is a 2/2, not a 1/1. So it'll come into play.
Varel's is one of those ways that can actually deal with Curse of Vessel. You can start making your guys a lot bigger, and it's one of the ways that they can actually win. Oh, but he drew a Putrefy. So he still has an Abrupt Decay that can potentially deal with the other.
But you can, it can take care of the Cartel Aristocrat, but you can regenerate off of Abrupt Decay, so it will not take care of the Varels. As you see, Diliberto draws a Sin Collector, which he's going to play.
Wow,
it's going to
what
die.
A great draw.
Yeah, and he takes care of the Abrupt Decay. So now Lanci's playing off the top of the deck as Diliberto comes across for 1, daring Lanci to peel again. We saw this last game not work out for Chris.
Lanci.
Yeah, worked out. It looked out a little better this time.
So Desecration Demon comes down. Mario really needs another Liliana here.
Let's see what Mario was able to draw. Lingering Souls.
Not going to do anything right here. So he can cast Varels. He can actually scavenge now.
I think he scavenged right onto... Who'd you scavenge onto here? That's a question. I think you scavenge onto Varels and just make that a big beater.
I think you want to make your guy try to get it. Yeah, I think you want to make... Hopefully you can draw a Liliana there and make both your guys big enough so that you can start attacking down. Right now, Lanci's at 12, so he's not really in any position to lose the game very quickly.
Lanci announces the Desecration Demon trigger, and Diliberto says, that's fine, do your worst. Lanci Willie says, in for 6. Diliberto's going to go down to 14. Let's see what Lanci has for a follow-up.
Lanci wins this race, pretty sure.
There's a lot of creatures in that graveyard.
That's true.
And you see an Overgrown Tomb is drawn, Lingering Souls in Diliberto's hand, which is going to be useless now because of the curse. But Diliberto can load up on a Varels.
I think he just has a Sin Collector and a Cartel Aristocrat, so he can get +4. But I think it's a lot, but it's not that. I think the rest of them are just spells. I think he's got Duress, Appetite, Liliana. Yeah.
But I think you just I think you move in here if you're Diliberto. I think you just play that land untapped, go down to 12. Again, you can control the Desecration Demon a little bit, and by controlling it, it's going to give you more scavenge fodder. So now he's going to scavenge the Sin Collector onto the Varels, up to 3 counters. He's going to do the same thing with the Cartel Aristocrat, up to 5 counters. So Varels is a 6/6, plus the Aristocrat's going to make it so it's 7 damage. Now, we don't know what Lanci's card is.
I would imagine he probably has a removal spell, otherwise he probably wouldn't have attacked. But it looks like he might just be taking it here. So he goes to 5. That's unbelievable. Because he could tap the Desecration Demon. Mario can tap it on his turn and just attack with Varels if Chris doesn't have another blocker. So let's see if Chris just made a mistake by attacking last turn.
He announces the trigger. He's coming in again.
So I have to believe he has at least a blocker.
Yeah, a Thrag
or
test,
a removal
something.
spell. Thrag test something. It looks like one of them is a land.
4 mana.
Wow.
Disciple Boss is a huge draw.
That's a huge draw there. Gains 6 life, goes up to 11, more importantly, draws 6 cards. So now he hasn't played a land yet for the turn, so it's certainly possible that he has a removal spell. Abrupt Decay would be a potential removal spell that he can play.
Tragic Slip as well, because Morbid
Slip.
is on. Yeah,
Morbid is triggered.
Everything about the Disciple Blast was completely busted this turn. The demon gets in 12 points of damage. He's going to gain a bunch of life, going to play a Swamp, and Lanci's going to pass the turn back. What a big top deck there for Chris.
We see a Voice of Resurgence here. So another good draw. Gives him another creature that he can sacrifice to Varels or Cartel Aristocrat and nets him an elemental token, which would be a 3/3. Let's see what Mario wants to do here. I think it's okay to just play the Voice and attack with both.
We'll start by attacking with both here. not going to play the voice pre-combat, so Disciple's going to get in front of, I think, the bigger creature. And Lance is going to go down to 10, and now there is a voice post-combat. Pass the turn back.
So, can we see Mutilate would be for 1, 2, 3, right now for 4, so it wouldn't be able to deal with the Virals. And then Mario can scavenge 2 more creatures to make Virals a 10 power, I believe.
Yeah, which would be lethal. But I would like to believe that Lanci does have something of relevance in his hand. Again, he just drew, excuse me.
Yeah, it looks like he has some spells at his hand. Just not sure what they are. It looks like one of them might be a Mutilate.
I think he just drew a Tragic Slip for the turn, too. So I'm not sure. We can't make out a great deal of his hand right now, but I would be hard-pressed to believe that he has nothing over there of relevance. How he just wants to go about casting these spells in the order.
Yeah, if he has a Tragic Slip, then any creature is pretty much a reasonable play here, because he just wants to be able to Tragic Slip Everalls.
The Scar Strike is hanging tough, though. There's a Swamp. 2 mana. There's a Golgari Charm.
So that will deal with the Cartel Aristocrat along with the Voice of Resurgence because of the Curse of Death's Hold.
Mm-hmm. So you see Diliberto is going to sacrifice his Cartel Aristocrat to Varol's, and now going to sacrifice Voice of Resurgence as well.
I think Voice will just die, and does he just let the Voice die? Because you would get an Elemental token, right?
Yeah, you should get an
Elemental token.
token.
Looks like he sacked twice. That's strange that he would sack twice, because then the token will come into play.
Yeah, I mean he should have an Elemental token now, right? It should be a 2/2. That would be a 1/1.
It depends on if he sacked it in response.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
If he sacked it to give himself 2 shields for some reason, then it wouldn't matter.
Oh, no Elemental token. So, Lifebane Zombie showed Diliberto. Lifebane Zombie showed Diliberto showed Lance, Diliberto's Lingering Souls. You're gonna see some scavenging here. Voice of Resurgence, 2 counters on. Cartel Aristocrat, make it 2 more. So this is gonna go up to a 9/9. Make it a 10/10. 9 counters plus being a 1/1.
So he's going to force Chris to block. Lifebane Zombie will jump in front. Scavenge Ooze still around to sort of gain some life next turn. Still is a potential blocker.
Yeah, the draw for Diliberto was an Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Yeah, Mario just doesn't have anything that he can cast right now because of that Curse of Death's Hold. So can we see, is Chris going to be able to get another way to deal with that Virals in play, or is he just going to be forced to chump block yet again this turn? Yeah, it looks like he has a Graze of Granite. So that is at least an answer to the Virals.
Scavenging Ooze is going to remove Lifebane Zombie right away.
I don't believe he has enough creatures in his graveyard to kill Mario this turn. Mario's at 6.
So I like that play there. If we remove the Scavenging Ooze, or Scavenging Ooze is going to remove something, gain life, and now he's going to Gaze of Granite, to take care of the Varol's. Pass the turn back. And this leaves Diliberto with very, very few good draw steps. Lifebane Zombie is going to come into play. It's going to die. It's going to see a hand of 3 creatures in Desecration Demon, Vampire Nighthawk, and that Scavenging Ooze that does get exiled. But Lanci is sitting pretty now, as he does have a way to actually win this game in the Desecration Demon.
Yeah, he can play Desecration Demon and Vampire Nighthawk this turn.
You see him tap the 7 mana immediately. That's likely what he's going to do. Deploy both threats, pass the turn back, and Diliberto is going to take a draw step. It's a Garrick, and he's going to pick up everything. So Chris Lanci's able to tie this matchup against Mario Diliberto. The Rock fighting back against Junk Aristocrats. But important for Diliberto because he did steal that first game. He'll be on the play for game 3.
I'm surprised Mario scooped there because he could have played Garrick, made a beast, made a wolf, sacrificed it at the beginning of combat that tapped out in Desecration Demon. And then what is the Nighthawk going to do? Is Nighthawk going to attack the Garrick or attack Mario? At least he gives himself another turn to potentially try to draw something.
Yeah, another draw step.
Maybe he just felt he didn't have any answers to the 6 the Garrick at the Desecration Demon at that point.
Maybe just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah. And again, that game, it really felt like it came down to the fact that Mario chose to play a Cartel Aristocrat 1 turn as opposed to Appetite for Brains. Because you just saw how devastating that Curse of Death's Hold is against him.
He can't have the 1-off curse, right? It's fine.
Yeah, he can't have it.
He's only got 1. He's only got 1 in his deck. What's the big deal?
If you're going to bring in Appetite for Brains to stop Curse of Death's Hold from entering play, then cast it. Cast it before they get to 5 mana. That should be your goal.
updates for you guys in our other matches here. Zachary Schultz, we saw him play in round number 9, defeating AJ Soccer. Well, he's moving on. Black White has defeated the Aristocrats. Luis Alfonso with a fantastic tournament. But Schultz, your 3 seed, will be moving on, and he's going to be playing against Adam Van Fleet. Red Green does defeat Blue White Flash. So Red Green aggro, very Kibler-esque. You can call it Dragon Master Red Green if you'd like, against Black White Orzhov Guildgate. Our 3 versus our 7. That's 3 versus our 7. Excuse me. That's one side of the bracket, as we do have just a little update between Jessup and Abdul Rahman. Game 3.
Game 3.
Between Domri 9 and Junk Reanimator.
Domri 9 is going to be on the play.
That's true.
I'll take my chances. I gotta say, I really like the Star Wars sleeves that Chris Lancey's rocking.
Did you know I do not like Star Wars? I know.
I wouldn't mention that on this stream.
I know. My my nerd cred is gone now, so...
What is your issue with Star Wars exactly?
I just never really got into it, like when I was a kid or anything. And
Really?
I fell asleep during episode 1 in the movie theater. And
Well,
I know that movie was really bad. I know
the
the movie was
understand.
really bad, but it's just not for me, I guess. I don't know.
I remember we saw during the Invitational one year, Watsy took all of us to see episode 3 in the theaters. So back in the day, there used to be this tournament called the Magic Invitational. They don't do it anymore for some reason, but they used to have this tournament called the Magic Invitational. They'd invite the 16 best players in the world to go to this electronic convention called E3.
The 15 best in you.
Or the 15 best in me, that I randomly got voted. Yeah. So we end up going to E3 every year. One year we all went, and the final installment of the new Star Wars, the Episode 3, was coming out in theaters that same weekend. So they all decided to take us to the theater, and we're all watching the movie. And obviously a lot of people have probably seen Episode 3, but it wasn't that great. And at the end of the movie, I'm sitting next to Nassif, and he goes, "Ugh, that movie stinks." And his French, nobody liked that movie. None of the invitationals care for that movie very much. So you're not the only one who doesn't like Star Wars. However, to not like episodes 6 through 7 and 8, episodes 4, 5, and 6, though, seems a little strange.
I don't know. I just haven't really. I feel like if I'm gonna rewatch, I have to commit a lot to rewatching all of them, or whatever, and just get in with the history and know a bunch about it. And I don't know. I just don't want to.
You don't like being happy. You don't like good
That's
things.
Not true. I love professional
You don't
wrestling.
like joy.
I'm very happy. It's great. It's easy to keep up with.
So
I do want to start the Harry Potter series. I've never read a Harry Potter book, and I think there are 7 movies. I haven't seen one of them.
Are you planning on reading the books or just seeing the movies?
Just probably movies.
Yeah, probably just the movies.
Yeah, I'm just lazy and don't have time to read.
I tell people I read, but in reality, I just watch movies and television.
I don't read books all that much. I'll read sports books and stuff, and I
try to read, but people say, "Oh, why don't you just read books when you go home?" I'm like, "What am I, a pilgrim? I mean, I got television." I try reading books when I get home from work and I sit on my couch and I just fall asleep.
Look, you can't read Breaking Bad.
Yeah, you can't read Breaking Bad is definitely better than any book that came out in the past 20 years.
All right, that's how it works. You can't read Walter White.
I'm not going to read the script for Breaking Bad.
See Lanci and Diliberto laying out their hands here. Again, Diliberto is going to be on the play for game number 3 here between these two.
Let's see if Diliberto can actually get High Priest going, because that was one of the cards that we thought could be a game breaker for him in this matchup.
He does not look thrilled about his hand. I think he said he's going to keep, though. All right, he is. So here is Overgrown Tomb and Addison's Pilgrim. So.
Addison Pilgrim comes down. So much better start than the last time.
Yeah. Lanci going to draw his card for the turn. See if he has maybe a tragic slip to take care of that. You see him.
Ooh, that's interesting here.
I did not see that coming at all.
I did not see a Mutavault on turn 1 coming, especially when he kept his hand.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Now a Cartel Aristocrat, no second land pass. Okay. Here we go, kids. This could get interesting real fast.
So what can we have here? Ultimate price, perhaps, for the
a
elf?
lot of things. Yeah,
he does have it. He has the ultimate price.
All right, Diliberto with 1 land. Can he draw a second one? He does not. He draws a tragic slip. Keeps a Sketcher. Might get punished. Get in for 2. Follow up. Appetite for brains.
So
let's see what his hand is here. All right, so
looks like we have lands, a Thragtusk, and a Disciple Bolus. Okay. So
not a great hand.
Not the not the worst hand to have a one lander against. So
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Where it kind of stinks for Diliberto. Like he can't really take advantage of like this lack of things that Lanci has because he doesn't have any lands.
but the good thing for Diliberto is if your getting land screwed is not nearly as bad as getting land flooded.
Of course.
So it doesn't look like Chris is really going to be able to capitalize just yet either. So he does have a Mutavault that can block the Cartel Aristocrat. So it's pretty good.
Oh, how about get in? How's that
Or
taste?
or get in.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be a race. I think Chris is more than willing to race against an opponent with just one
Another
land.
Cartel Aristocrat is the draw, so Diliberto's going to turn his one guy sideways. He does not have a land to play anything, just has a Tragic Slip that he can actually cast. Passes it back to Lanci as he'll untap, he'll draw. We'll see what Chris is able to come with for his turn. It's a Golgari Guildgate.
Wonder why he didn't play the Guildgate last turn.
Yeah, me too. I was a little bit surprised by that.
Maybe he wanted to keep up. Maybe he drew a Tragic Slip, and he wanted to keep up a black in case another Pilgrim came down. But still, probably wanted to just get the Guildgate out.
Diliberto draws a land finally. It's an Isolated Chapel, and that comes. Let's see what the follow-up's going to be. It's another Cartel Aristocrat, and passing the turn back, as Lanci's going to untap now.
We know he's got the Disciple and some land in his hand. I'm not sure if he started to draw gas or not. Like a Mutilate would be great here.
Yep.
Even a
Absolutely
Vampire
fantastic.
Nighthawk.
There's a lot of good cards right now.
Yeah.
Thragtusk. There's a Desecration Demon's even quite good right now because then he can chain off with the Disciple there. So
And Mario's at 14. I mean, Desecration Demon end things very quickly. So yeah, let's see. What does Chris have? Looks like he's got plenty of options. Graze of Granite, perhaps?
you
And
nailed
that
it.
it is. Gaze of Granite for 2, dealing with both Cartel Aristocrats. Now Mario left with just 2 lands. Doesn't draw another land. He has an Aristocrat that he can play, but he drew a Lifebane Zombie.
The notable thing there too is that Lanci didn't play a land after Gaze.
Oh, yes.
So that means the hand might be full of all spells. Plays a Mutavault, which is a land in theory. Also happens to be a creature. I wonder what the follow-up is going to be here for Lanci. Just passing.
Chose not to attack. I'm surprised. We saw him attack into a Cartel Aristocrat before.
Sun Petal Grove, the draw here for Diliberto. He's going to start by attacking, and Lanci's going to take it.
Yeah,
so no attack, no block. And now I think we're going to see, we're going to see Lifebane Zombie. So what is, I want to know what's going on.
Why wouldn't you block the Aristocrat?
He has drawn all lands.
I don't understand why you wouldn't either attack last turn with Mutavault, especially if that's your hand, or
Block. Attack or block.
Frankly, I think the right play is just activate Mutavault, attack, then Disciple it and gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. Especially if you're mana flooded, you still have another Mutavault that you can attack with. Because there's no way Mario is going to just chump block a Mutavault with a Cartel Aristocrat. So you're definitely going to get 2 in. Then you sack it to Disciple, draw 2 cards, gain 2 life. You still have another Mutavault in play, and maybe you can start getting some action.
So now he's going to activate Mutavault. He's going to draw some cards, so he's going to do it now.
Yeah, he basically just made this play a turn late.
And he also...
And didn't even get 2 damage out of it.
And he also used a lot of mana, too, because he used a land to activate the Mutavault, not the Mutavault itself. And now he's going to show us all the lands that he's drawn, but now he's focusing on the things that don't matter, which is the fact that he's mana flooding. That's not something he can control in this game.
Well, I said it in the beginning. Mana screwed is much better than getting mana flooded.
Yeah.
And now Mario has a Tragic Slip, so he can actually deal with the Disciple Bolus and attack for 5, dropping Chris down to 9. And he can also play a Lingering Souls too. So things have gone quite well for Mario.
You see that Lanci's starting to get frustrated with his mana flood at this point, but that's a good way to just end up losing the game all by itself. Is that again you're focusing on the thing that doesn't really matter. He can still win this game.
Yeah, I think that he's getting a little frustrated, which is understandable. Obviously, no one wants to get land flooded, but I think the critical issue was he missed 2 points of damage the turn before. Having an opponent at 12 when you have a card like Desecration Demon in your deck is a lot different than having an opponent at 14. So I don't know if that's going to matter just yet, but I think that maybe Lanci kind of wants to just focus on what he can do to win this game and not be concerned with the fact that he's getting mana screwed a little bit.
See, the attack there. Life Being Zombie's going to trade with Disciple. Cartel Aristocrat's going to come through. You're going to see a Doom Traveler, now Lingering Souls happen here for Diliberto. So now he's starting to amass a bit of a board here as Lanci's going to untap. You guys know he's got all lands in hand. Diliberto knows he has all lands in hand as well, based off of the body language from the previous turn. So let's see if Lanci draws a spell.
I can't make it out there. It doesn't look like he's doing much this turn. Mutilate would be okay. It would net Mario just a spirit token, but he still has that Lingering Souls in his graveyard, so he's going to be able to rebuild a little bit.
So here's a swamp. 3, 4 mana. It is a Mutilate.
So he did top deck an answer for Mario's tiny army. He's left with just a... And, he, you know, again, Chris attacks for 2, but Mario could be at 10.
We're going to see if that's going to end up playing a role in this game. I think Underworld Connections was the draw here for Diliberto. He's going to start off by bashing for 1, going to knock Lanci down to 11, so the race is on here. You see a Skirt Stack High Priest over there for Diliberto as well, so we could see maybe a turn of play the High Priest flashback to Lingering Souls, perhaps.
I like that play, yeah.
So that's exactly what we'll see. His 2 Spirit Tokens going to come in along with the 1/2. Diliberto's hand right now, Underworld Connections and Lifebane Zombie, as he'll pass it back to Lanci, who will draw a card, and we'll see if he draws a spell or not.
Lanci's basically in the unfortunate position where he needs to kind of runner mutilates. And it's just basically because of the amount of lands that he drew in those early turns.
Yeah, fire it up. Get in for 2 more. Diliberto says that's fine. As we do have a quick update as well, Osa pumps his fist because Mr. Jessup with Domri Naya will be playing tomorrow and defeats Rawish Abdulrahman 2-1. And Mr. Jessup will be playing the winner of this matchup.
Great draw by Mario here. He drew the Varals, so he can actually play the Varals, which gives him a sack outlet to fuel the Skursdark High Priest.
Really good
and
draw.
Then he can scavenge onto one of the tokens to make it a little bit bigger. He's got a Doom Traveler in his graveyard, so perfect draw there for Mario. And it doesn't, I'm not sure how many swamps. It looks like Chris has 4 swamps in place. So currently a demon that gets created off of High Priest will survive. However, I wonder if maybe he should have activated the High Priest and made a demon there and then scavenged onto it to make sure it survives Swamp Mutilate. But, you know.
So Diliberto is going to make a demon here. And Lanci's going to show a hand full of lands, and that is it. So Mario Diliberto is going to win this match after keeping a 1-lander, but Lanci ends up flooding out. Junk Aristocrats is coming back tomorrow morning to play against Andrew Jessup and Domri Naya.
Wow.
What a strange Game 3.
Strange Game 3. Just, you know, Mana Screw beats Mana Flood.
Yeah, I mean.
Every time.
Yeah, just about every time, doesn't it? You'll draw lands eventually. That's the thought process there.
So,
wow.
Junk Aristocrats, like, looking forward to tomorrow, though. You know, Jessup's still the #1 seed, so he's going to be able to play. Again, I didn't love the Junk Reanimator matchup, but Jessup was able to beat it. I don't love the Junk Aristocrat matchup either that much.
He hasn't lost yet.
Yeah, but he hasn't lost yet.
Yeah.
So, you know, good for him, and hopefully he'll continue his run.